What, I realize that your colleague at the White House, Admiral Kirby, was asked about this multiple times and isn't going to give an answer, and I don't expect you're going to give any answers too. But what is your understanding of this, of the status of this proposal right now?
Yeah. So as
the Lebanon one.
Yeah, I know what you're referring. You won't be surprised that things have not changed markedly in the hour and a half, 2 hours since he spoke to the press. What I'd say is we have made significant progress with getting towards a resolution. That includes progress from where we were when I spoke to this last week, but we're not done yet. Nothing is final until everything is final. We continue to work to try and get an agreement over the line, and we're hopeful we can get one, but we need both of the parties to get to yes.
Okay. Do you have, off the top of your head, an idea of how many times you guys, U.S. officials, have said exactly those words as it regards to Lebanon dating back to September, late September, and as it regards Gaza going back to, almost a couple days or a week or so after the October 7th attacks?
I can tell you we are painfully aware, because this has been an incredibly frustrating process, both getting to a ceasefire and a diplomatic resolution to the conflict in Lebanon, and also the many rounds of negotiations to get a ceasefire in Gaza. There are any number of stages where we have hoped that the parties would get to an agreement. And remember, that's what it requires in these cases. It's not the United States, but the parties to the agreement to say yes. There have been many times when we thought we were going to be getting to yes in both cases, and for various reasons, the parties didn't get there. That said, we believe we are close here, but that's why you heard me come out and say nothing's final until everything is final, because we know we don't have a deal until there's one that has been fully agreed to by both sides.
So why do you think it is, and I'm not asking you to get inside their heads necessarily, but that there are people in this government who are running around on background repeatedly giving overly optimistic assessments of where things stand?
Look, I am always reluctant to speak to the comments that people make on background, because there are any number of government officials with oftentimes with different assessments about the same situation. I will say, speaking to where I believe we are, I said we're close because I do believe we're close, but that doesn't mean we're going to get there. We need the parties to say yes. And hopefully that'll happen.
Right, but it is becoming increasingly difficult to believe these assessments, because they've been wrong every single time
here's the
so
thing.
far. And I realize that you're wrong until you're right, right? But
so you're right about wrong until you're right. But there's also there's the George Mitchell quote you often hear the secretary referred to about diplomacy being 500 days of failure leading to 1 day of success. That's often how these agreement works. But you should know that typically when we say we're close, we have the caveat that nothing is final until everything is final, and that it takes the parties actually saying yes and getting there. I think you've also heard the secretary say that oftentimes the very last stages of an agreement are the most difficult, because the hardest issues are left to the end. That, of course, is true. Hopefully we'll get there with an agreement. We're pushing as hard as we can to get a diplomatic resolution that would allow these tens of thousands of people in Lebanon and Israel to return home. But ultimately, that's up to the parties, not to us.